Hey everyone, so in this video I want to introduce a concept that might help you succeed in life better. Succeed you in making more money, excelling in your business, whatever else. So this video is specifically for the people who are always saying stuff like, oh, I can't believe that guy did that thing and he did it and it's so easy and he made all this money. You know, those types of people who have those mindsets or are constantly complaining or, saying how that's unfair or jealous, or they say that's so easy. Now, here's the thing, almost always these people never take any real action and they just sit there and they say this stuff. And maybe they partially know what I'm going to say, and they deep down on some level they already know this, which is why they don't take any action. But here's the test that I want to introduce to you. It's called, if it's so easy, why don't you try and do it yourself? It's a simple concept and I think it's very important. Even if you don't have this mindset of complaining, you can use this and it may help you out possibly. And the reason why I particularly structured this video to target that specific type of person is because there are other people out there who have no problem with this at all and they're constantly taking action. And they have other problems, which is the fact that they just straight out copy everyone and they copy everything to a T, and they're not afraid of copying. So there's different types of people in the world. There's people who have a sense of nobility and they won't copy a thing from others. And then people who copy everything to a T and don't care about the legal or moral implications of that in business or music or art or whatever else. So there's different types of people, and I do think all of them are missing pieces to the puzzle. But if you just try it out, or if you think it's so easy, you should try it out yourself, because what this will do is it will show you in practicality either that it's not as easy as it seems and there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that require a lot of work, or the second thing will be it may be just as easy as you think and therefore you can get the same results as that person. Now, I do think that for most people this common sense logic flows through their head, but then they stop because deep down they know it's not as easy as it thinks, or they have some type of subconscious block for actually taking action. So I think this is a great test, and by doing so you can either get your end result, or the second thing you could do is you can end up facing even though it may be really tough to stomach, but you may be able to face the truth of the matter, which is that there's a lot of hard work involved as well. So sometimes though there are people out there who haven't done any of this, and there's a third possibility, which is that they just haven't thought of the idea of doing it themselves. But I do think that if you're failing at copying other people, one, it's because you're not adding anything to the picture, and those people are doing everything you're doing but better, and you're really not adding any additional value. So there's many examples of that on YouTube. I've seen people who do vlogs and they literally copy the exact format, intro, styling of Casey Neistat's vlogs, and it's the same font and everything and intro, and they have no problems with copying it, and they don't even mention that they've copied these people, and literally they're not doing well on YouTube. And I would say one of the reasons, in my opinion, is because they're really not adding any value. Perhaps they have their own spin on it, but it's not even at the value of Casey Neistat's, and they're not truly really adding substantial value in their vlogs, and Casey's doing it better. And so for some people it can work, but sometimes you're really not doing that thing, as Peter Thiel says in his book, where you are adding a 10x magnitude of additional value. Peter Thiel is a billionaire and a venture capitalist. He wrote a book called 0 to 1. It's an interesting read. And he really talks about business, specifically tech business and venture capital in that book. And so that's one thing. As for the people who are high and noble, and I've seen this in specific businesses as well, some in the tech startups phase, and some of them doing fairly well or trying to do fairly well. And there's too noble to copy anything. And I think that's too far. Sam Walton, he is the guy who started Walmart, and he has a book, Made in America, one of my #1 recommended reads. And this book, and this guy, he is someone who has no problem copying. He actually admits in a book very clearly, all my best ideas and everything I've implemented, I have learned from someone else. I've taken from someone else. Now, was this immoral or illegal? Not really, because these were legal things that you could copy. And it's kind of the nature of business. And so he ended up copying stuff like aisle length and aisle width. And in addition to that, he improved on things. So he, added new stuff, innovated, adopted new technologies before anyone else, satellite dishes, all that stuff. So it wasn't just copying that he did, but he knocked it out of the park in so many other areas, customer service, blah, blah, blah. And so the last group I want to address, and then we'll end the video, is pretty much people who, they get so offended when they find out that another business has copied them. So this occurred with a business that was on the show, the Shark Tank. And the Shark Tank is basically a show where 4 or 5 millionaire investors will sit down like judges, and people starting businesses or who have businesses who want more money, they come into the show and they pretty much pitch their idea or their business, and ask for money in exchange for part ownership in that business. It's called equity. And so there's this one guy who was on the show a few years ago, and he got so angry and frustrated because one day he checks like Amazon.com or somehow he finds out that his very innovative like belt design, it's like some type of special metal latch for belts that's like kind of cool, but like not even that cool. Like I didn't buy it. But he got so frustrated and angry because his cousin, who he had showed his belt and his whole business, who was not in the belt business at all, after like being in that business for a year, his cousin had literally copied the exact design and everything down to a T, and was releasing it on his own website and selling it without telling him at all. And so he was just so frustrated. He posted this whole Reddit article on it, and it got discussion. And arguably, I'm not gonna lie, he should have been a little frustrated and mad. Like that's a dick move, and a stupid, retarded thing for his cousin to do. Like his cousin has some issues to work out himself and some things to learn about life, because for him to be so insecure, to think that there's nothing else he could succeed in life other than copying from his family members' business behind their back is retarded. Now, having said that though, for this man to be so angry and frustrated and offended and say that his business is screwed because his cousin has copied his design, I think it's retarded as well, because in business, you have to expect that sort of stuff. Like if it wasn't your family member, someone will get that idea and copy you. Like that's like gonna happen. And probably by the time this video goes online, there's probably like 10 copycats that have come out. Like that's something that always happens in business. And sometimes it'll take a lot longer. Sometimes it'll happen very quickly. It really depends on how quickly people get ideas or become aware. And, that's why Warren Buffett, he always says, if you guys don't know who Warren Buffett is, he is a billionaire and an investor. And one of the things he says quite often is that in order for business to succeed and for me to invest in the business, I only look for 3 big things. One, it has to be in my circle of competence and it has to be something I understand. 2, it has to have able, honest, trustworthy management. And 3, and most importantly, it has to have a competitive moat, otherwise known as a durable competitive advantage. and that advantage has to be every day expanded rather than deteriorated over time. And there's other, small things that he looks for. Like it has to be something that he can buy, and then not look at for, well, not look at, but it's something that he is so certain about the durability of the business that he can buy and not sell for 10 years. So the point of that whole spiel is that, from the get-go of your business, you have to start looking at ways you can create that durable competitive advantage. And that's something certain people already know. There's, things that, honestly, other people, they should know about this. And from the get-go, like, that's something that was not, it didn't have a strong enough durable competitive advantage, and people copied it. And so, it's so apparent. Like, literally, one of the first questions Warren Buffett asked Bill Gates when they first met, one of the first questions, not the first question, was, what makes Microsoft unique? How come other competitors like IBM can't just copy exactly what you do? And he was asking these questions for that exact reason. So you can't whine about this. You have to be prepared for it. And arguably the same thing works on YouTube. So some of these people, they are successful on YouTube because they do what they do better than anyone else can. Their specific type of humor, the specific way they edit their videos, their specific personality, all these things are almost impossible to duplicate. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to double down on the videos I do in the style I do them, because I mean, it's very, very difficult for people to copy what I do, because one, they're not interested enough, and two, because I'm interested enough and I've already had such a track record, and I have so many different books I've already read and videos and lectures that I can just sort of like pull different things from all these random sources and illustrate them all together and synthesize them in a very bizarre, unique, helpful way that no one else has ever synthesized. And even if someone has that level of interest and starts copying me on this stuff, and this has happened before in my specific niches. Back in middle school, I grew a blog that got a large number of followers, and I wasn't the first who had that idea. In fact, there's plenty of people who came before me who had already had a following in the video game I made the blog for. But I, carved out my own way of doing things, and I did it better than anyone else did. And at first it was a very, very slow climb, and it took many years of clawing, but I ended up getting quite successful at it, and it grew to millions of visitors. And after school got in the way, guess what happened? People came in, some of them, one in particular, who was just like, he knocked it out of the park 10 times beyond what I could do. Because he could program better, he could web design better, he put more time into it, and he innovated and added new stuff that I couldn't. And so that ended up happening, and it got a lot more competitive. So you kind of have to expect that sort of stuff. And even if someone were to come into my area, first off, I know that this world is not like, it's not, you can't be so competitive. Like, sometimes you have to realize that there's plenty of room for us to all be here, and you can't always be like arguing and competing. And then the second thing is that for me, there's always small things that I can do, because there's so many different books I can choose from and branch away from, so that there's no way on earth I can even finish all the books I want to read. So there's always different things to make yourself different. And plenty of people have told me this, and it's really inspired me. Some of them not personally, just through the power of podcasts or videos, but they've said, no one in the world is exactly like you. You are very, very unique. No one in the world will ever be like you. There's never anyone like you before in history, and there will never be anyone like you after in history. There may be people who look like you, maybe people who behave like you, but no one who's had the exact specific experiences that you've had. And different people have told me this for different reasons. Some, to help in terms of in terms of business or success in life. Others just to like show you, just to inspire me, and start me thinking about the bigger picture. And it's really helped me because it shows you how you can be very unique and different. And if you bring that to the table and you are just you, people will like that and they will prefer you as opposed to other people just because of how you are or how you are different from other people, and they prefer that more. And you will draw specific people to you. You may, push certain people away, but long story short, I think it's so inspiring and so useful because you can add that to your own specific unique brand and take that somewhere. And ever since then, I've really started saying more and more that, hey, you know what, I am kind of unique, I am kind of interesting. In all honesty, I am. Like, literally, I don't think anyone on earth has even come close to my depth of knowledge in so many fields that are like acres apart, like completely different. On the flip side of things, I understand esports a lot. I'm really into video games, League of Legends, all of that. And then on the flip side of that, I think I've watched a lot, like more content from successful people in terms of speeches, in terms of books read, in terms of business advice, and all that stuff than 99% of people. Because I would literally just put on a YouTube video of a speech by a celebrity or an actor or a billionaire, and I just watch it from beginning to end, no matter how long it was, an hour and so forth. So I have these weird deep deposits of information that trickle into this weird synthesis, and and so on and so on. Psychological studies. I have psychology studies. I know about internet business. I know about what else? Social media. I understand that fairly well. Investing, value investing, that Warren Buffett stuff. That's a whole niche in itself that I understand fairly well. So, yeah, that's basically me. As always, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Peace. Hope you like this video. Of course, if you're new to this channel is all about self-development and success. You can hit the subscribe button below for free updates every Thursday. Otherwise, I will see you in my next video.